Hi, everyone. Morning. Good morning. Welcome to Toy Fair. Happy Toy Fair, everyone. Yeah. We're so excited, really, to have all of you here as a part of our Student Congress program. I'm happy to say this is our largest student congress I've seen yet, which is awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. Before we kick off, I'll tell you a little bit about Toy Fair. When you get to go on the show floor, we have 850 exhibitors here this year, and they're showcasing their product to thousands of buyers. They meet with the global media, entertainment executives. They're taking meetings with inventors and more. So we provide them with these 4 days where they can do their strategic partnerships and see some education and meet with all of you guys, which is a great opportunity. To kick off today, we're going to have two panels for you. The first one will really help you see a little bit of the wide scope of career paths that you can get into when you meet these guys and walk the show floor and just learn all about the industry. So I'm going to introduce Kathleen Campisano. She is Global Chief Marketing Officer at Beacon Media Group. She was just named chairperson for our Toy Foundation, and she's a longtime contributor of the toy industry, having roles at Barnes & Nobles, Mega Brands, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, and more. So Kathleen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Good morning. So before I get to you panelists, I want you to meet your audience. We have students from Otis. Where's Otis? Woo! We have students from RISD. Where's RISD? We have students from the New School. Where's the New School? We have students from Drexel. Yay! We have students from Tennessee. All right. We have students from everywhere, all over, and it's super exciting. Oh, okay. Who'd I miss? Give a shout out. All right, okay. RIT, my son's alumni. There you go. Beautiful. So we have students from all over, and they're here because they want to know about you. And I'm so excited to be able to bring their questions to you all. Before we begin and before I introduce our panel, imagine a world, guys, where you as an intern can become the president of that company. Wow, right? Wouldn't that be cool? Imagine a world where you have so many big ideas that you travel the globe, right? Inventing and meeting with other creators to bring big ideas to market, right? Imagine a world where you start out entry level, earning an hourly wage, only to become head of toys for the largest retailer in the world, over 10,000 stores. And imagine a world where you're the coaching captain of a cheerleading team and the captain of a football team, and you turn that passion and pivot it into two of the most beloved brands in the industry. Those are our panelists today, guys. Let me introduce to you Kristen McKay, Senior VP and GM of Global Brands at Hasbro. Kristen, give away.
Hi, everybody.
Dave Dwyer, Head of U.S. Channels at the Lego Group. Matt Nuncio, President of Design Edge. Brittany Smith, VP of Merchandising of Toys at Walmart. And Jocelyn Welsh, President of Litsky PR. Okay, Brittany, I'm going to start with you. Please, we're going to let Brittany tell us a little bit about her journey at Walmart.
Good deal. Good morning. Thank you guys for being here. Man, it's been a great career with Walmart. I started with Walmart 20 years ago as an hourly associate in supply chain. And throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of different things. While I was in supply chain, I managed our compliance team. I was responsible for third party transportation procurement. And then I'm a very curious person, so I moved over to merchandising and replenishment and planning. I've been in our bed and bath space, in produce, frozen, in dry grocery as well. And then lastly, I now lead all of Walmart US for toys. My team buys awesome, awesome items to put on the shelf for children, families every day. So, really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, Matt, talk to us a little bit about big ideas in your journey.
Oh, geez. So, where to begin with something like that? So, I actually grew up in the toy business. My dad was in the industry, and then my parents started Design Edge as a package design firm out of the garage in 1987, and I was drafted from day one. I had no choice. But there's much worse things in life than working in the toy industry. But always just dreaming big and working on the coolest stuff you could get a hold of, and just really just you can turn the smallest idea into something gigantic in the toy business. And it's not impossible. There's no other industry you can really do that in, because it's all based on imagination and what you can dream. Whatever you can dream as big as you want.
Beautiful. Dave.
Yeah. Hi. Nice to spend time with you this morning. I graduated from the University of Illinois, and I started working with the Lego Group 42 years ago in an entry-level sales role. I came out of the University of Illinois with a degree in business education, and I was kind of torn of where I wanted my career to go. I went into school thinking I'm going to get a degree from the College of Commerce. I'm going to get a business administration, marketing degree, and then I played varsity sport, as we talked about, and then all of a sudden I started to think a couple of years into my career that this was actually pretty fun. I like this, and there was an opportunity for me to think about how do I want to give back, and I changed my career path or my education path. I went to the College of Education, got a degree in business education, came out with the thought I wanted to teach high school and coach. And I did a little bit of that for a while, but then started to look at sales roles. And I happened to walk into an interview one day with the Lego Group, and it was an entry-level sales role, and I took that and built my career there. I put the coaching and teaching to the side for a while. Although while working with the Lego Group, it did give me the opportunity to still do some teaching and still do some coaching. As I started to build my career, early on I understood it was important to learn about our customers, right? And understand what their needs were and how we can best service them, as well as understanding our consumer and what their behaviors were, and how do we make sure through the retailer that we meet our consumer needs. So that was early education there. I started to manage teams early on. I was given the opportunity to manage and lead teams. And then my career kind of went in that direction where as I continued to progress managing larger accounts, I also managed larger teams. And most recently, I've been promoted to a position of U.S. Head of U.S. channels here in the U.S. So I have one of the largest teams in the U.S. For the Lego Group, and we service most retailers across the U.S. So it's a little bit about how I got here.
That's beautiful. And if you haven't been to the Lego booth yet, they have the botanical garden out in front, and it is the best photo op in the toy fair. I'm telling you, it's spectacular. Yeah. So let's jump over to, we have two interns on our panel that are now heading up their organizations. And I love that we didn't even know you had that shared experience. So I'm going to start with Jocelyn. Jocelyn, tell us a little bit about your journey, please.
Thanks, Kathleen. Good morning, everyone. I did start my journey as an intern. I didn't really know what public relations was, so I took an intro to PR class at NYU, and I famously really clashed with my teacher. We were both very headstrong, but she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at that time, and so she offered me an internship. And so at 20 years old, I started working out of her second bedroom, and it was just her and a couple other employees, and they left, and so it was just the two of us, Michelle Litsky and I, and I never left. And it's 27 years later, and I run a team of 15 amazing professionals. We focus on the toy industry, And for me, the journey was special because I started at a very small company and I got to play every single role at the agency. And so today, it's a great pleasure for me to be able to mentor at every level at the business because I've done every job. And I'm really proud to be here today. And I've worked with Kristen, and I'll pass it to you.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. My career was a little bit more windy before I got to the intern place. When I graduated, I went to Syracuse as an undergrad, and I picked that school because I wanted to cheer for the best football team up here within, like, call it 300 miles of Boston, and Syracuse was it. Maybe not the best life choice, but that's why I went there. And, when I graduated, I actually turned my love for cheering and coaching into a job. And I coached at first a high school, then at Brown University, and then at Harvard University. And, I was in my late 20s with I call them my kids at Harvard, and they're the ones that really inspired me to go back to school. So I went back to get my MBA in my late 20s and thought I was going to go into HR or operations. And this amazing group of employees from Hasbro came to Boston College and started talking to us about what it is like to run a brand in the toy space. And I was like, oh my gosh, this place is in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. How did I not know about this? And networked my way in. And I'll tell you guys, did not get the internship. My resume was not great, but I figured out how to talk about myself, and I met some people, and I networked my way in, and someone took a chance on me. And now 15 years later, and yes, Jocelyn was with me right at the beginning, actually, I get to run our whole fashion and preschool division and announce things like the fact that Mummy Pig is having a baby. So it's really been an amazing career, but it starts with being an intern and absorbing as much as you can and just knowing what you're passionate about and finding your career that way.
So, Kristen, you said something that I think resonates with some of the students that I was talking to this morning. You said you didn't get the internship originally, but then you got seen somehow, that language of being seen, right, guys? How did you do that specifically?
Yeah, I can't underscore the power of using your network more. So for me, I didn't get the internship initially. I was very competitive, but I actually stayed in touch with several of the folks that interviewed me during the process. And I did that through, LinkedIn was a little more in its infancy back then, but I did it both through LinkedIn, but also through our alumni network. You all pick a college both for what you're going to learn, but also for the amazing alumni that work at the schools that you guys all go at. We're all sitting here waiting to hear from you. We want to help you sort of find your path. And it was actually through staying in touch with folks that all of a sudden an opportunity came up that wasn't there. And I got a personal phone call from someone. It didn't come through, the campus recruiting team. It came from a woman that I had interviewed with during that process. And she said, "Did you get a job yet?" And I said, "No, please help me." and I came down and it worked out. So the power of networking and putting yourself out there, it really can be game changer.
Yeah, so be brave. Don't be shy, guys, yeah? So pivoting on that, let's talk a little bit about those surprises, those detours that you took in your career, choices that came your way that you said, you know what, I'm going to pass, or gosh, I don't know, I'm taking this. Brittany, you have such a changing dynamic throughout your resume. Talk a little bit about some of those changes and that decisiveness.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I think about it this way. I knew my goal was to become an officer with the company, with Walmart someday. I didn't know what role I wanted to do that in. However, I knew that I would have to make choices along the way. I had several opportunities to promote into a role that I was already currently in. Think about if I was in food and I was leading the planning organization. I could have promoted to another planning organization just in consumables, but I knew that I needed a more well-rounded, robust background if I was going to become an officer of the company. So making those choices to say, I may not promote today, I may decide to make a lateral over to another area, meaning I moved over to frozen to learn replenishment, because I knew in order for me to be stronger for the company, I needed to have a diverse background. So it's okay to say no to opportunities. Keep in mind, what's going to get me to my end goal? Am I going to add another tool to my tool belt by taking this opportunity? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I'm not really going to add anything, then you probably should say, let me wait for the next thing to make sure I continue to build. I also want to comment on the networking piece. If you think about sometimes, like, you have companies that come to your schools, they may not come for the specific area that you're interested in, but what I will tell you is we are very good at connecting across and saying, hey, I met this student and they're interested in toys. Would you mind reaching out to them? So if they're there for transportation or a different area, don't be afraid to go up to them and say, hey, can you connect me with someone in your company that leads marketing, that leads toys? That's another way to make sure that you continue to stay connected across organizations.
Beautiful, thank you. So Jocelyn, we have a student, and we might have more, I just didn't get to meet everybody this morning, who's actually in public affairs, right? And she's interested in an opportunity in the toy industry. Talk about that role, given your PR status, and how important it might play to the toy industry.
Sure. I think at the forefront of public affairs for the industry is the Toy Association, right? And so I think whoever you are out there in the audience, make sure that you spend some time with the Toy Association this week. There's lots of representatives here, and they are talking about everything from tariffs and legislation to a whole host of other things in public affairs that include lots of industry-related things, right? And so if you're interested in that, I would say ask questions. And I think that goes across for anyone. Just to follow up on your point, if you're interested in something, ask. I do informational interviews all the time because someone just reaches out. And so I think being curious about what your profession is and exploring it, right? Public affairs is very different from public relations, right? My focus is in consumer products, but I work closely with the Toy Association team because they do issue-related work, public affairs, crisis comms, things that I'm not particularly experienced in, but I know that there are partners at other agencies or at the association that can help tell those stories so that we can get to the bottom of all those issues.
Beautiful, thanks. Matt, for you, another student is gonna ask, right? Talk to them a little bit. We have designers, we have illustrators, we have mechanical engineers. What role do they play together, and who's on top? By the way, the right answer is they're together.
So is that to me?
Yes.
Well, actually, everyone works in tandem. So, I mean, any good product is really thought through the entire process from the onset. So a lot of times when you're working on a product, you obviously, rough sketches is where you start, but then you could also start thinking about how you're going to merchandise it, what the packaging is going to be like, what the mechanisms are going to be, and how you're going to manufacture it. So the best advice I can give you is whatever hat you think you want to wear in the toy industry, you need multiple hats. You need to learn just about every aspect. You don't have to be an expert on them, but you need to know what other people in your company are doing and how you can best aid them to be able to make that product a real success, because you're not an island, and the product's not going to stand alone just because you did a great drawing. So really communicate.
Excellent, thank you. And Dave, let's talk a little bit about sales and marketing, right? That's the other tension in the company, sales or marketing. Who leads? What's the role there? How do they work collectively together?
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually do work well together. Obviously, I think our marketing team obviously is responsible for bringing the products that we have to market and creating awareness and make relevant. And then the sales team is responsible for making sure that we action on the marketing plans and bring those products to life at retail to ensure that they finally reach the end consumer. We actually work very well together within the LEGO group. I think we play, we play off of each other very well. And we have a very strong marketing team. So
you snap together well.
That's great.
And we stay connected.
That's great. Thank you. Hey guys, what role did mentors play in your life? It's a little bit of an offshoot. Now, it's not networking. We're talking about true mentorship. I'm going to ask the whole panel. Kristen, can we start with you and can we just go down?
Yeah, absolutely. Mentors can come in two ways. There's formal mentoring programs and then informal. I'm going to tell you that the ones that I've got the most benefit out of, I've participated in both, are really the informal ones. And it's because, the power of mentoring comes from when you find somebody, whether you're the mentor. I have that role now that I get to be a mentor to several students. But when I was starting, I found a woman who she inspired me in the way she showed up. It wasn't just about her job and what she was doing, but it was how she was doing it. And it was humbling to approach her and say, hey, can I get some more time with you? I want to learn more about how you're navigating this situation, this particular situation. And that blossomed into a relationship where I could use her as a sounding board. You don't always want to go to your boss every time you have a question. Sometimes you want to hide the fact that you might not know. So she became an outlet for me, and she's actually still somebody I keep in touch with, and that when I'm feeling very vulnerable, I can go to her and I can talk to her in that safe space, and she can help me navigate it. So I think the informal ones are the ones that are worth it. And the only way you sort of craft those team is to put yourself out there and to ask. And again, there's a lot of people who really do want to help. So as nervous as you might feel, you're actually going to probably find a very receptive audience. Dave?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think for me anyway, personally, was the informal, where I met somebody, we were able to build a trust with each other. What we talked about stayed with us, and I got some really good coaching. Early on, I was really fortunate. We had the head of our sales development team who eventually became our vice president of sales. He somehow, some reason, took me under his wing early, and we did an agreement we would consistently meet together. We would talk about everything under the sun, from job to all the personal things. And we built a really good connection and trust, and I eventually ended up working for him. So it was a really good, but the informal ones for me, I sought that person out, and I found myself kind of looking for him consistently, and he was always there for me, which was great. And then naturally, in college I had coaches and stuff. My coaches were just natural mentors for me, and really helped me to understand the importance of preparation, that I still, to this day, it's like, you always want to think about the other person, the competitor, and how are they preparing for today. And I always want to be, obviously at my best. So that's an important part. So my college coaches were mentors for me all along. It helped me get to where I am right now. So yeah.
I've had so many mentors. I don't even know where to begin. It's just make friends. It's so much less complicated than you realize. Just find people you like and you have common interests with, and since you're already in design or marketing, whatever, that's a common interest right there. And don't ever push yourself on them. Don't scare them away. But just talk to them. Find out what they like to read, where they learn how to do things. Watch the same videos that they do. Just anything and everything you can. You're essentially just making a new friend, like anything else, and it can be a relationship that lasts your entire life.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Mentors are definitely important. I will tell you, throughout my career, I've had a lot of mentors that helped me professionally and personally. I'll give you kind of a little bit of how I think about also selecting a mentor. I always want to have mentors that also don't look like me, don't think like me. That way they can challenge my thought process as well as I'm trying to bounce ideas or even give feedback. Oftentimes, as you receive feedback, you may question of, well, I don't see it that way. Your mentor could help you kind of understand the difference of what you're being told versus how you're receiving it. So think about it that way. The next thing I will tell you is you should probably have like your own board of directors. If you think about a board of directors, you have a group of people that you kind of go to, bounce ideas off, rely on. And so as you think about that throughout your career, who are your board of directors, right? That you can quickly rely on for different things that you can reach out to at different times.
That is great. I have a similar perspective to that. I mean, I have one mentor that changed my life, right? I met Michelle Litsky, and I learned so much from her. Bless you. And so personally and professionally, that was really rewarding for me, and it taught me to give back. And so one of the greatest things that I get to do currently is mentor my team and our interns and students like you that come and just want a conversation and maybe some perspective on what the possibilities are in our industry. But I think having multiple mentors that are in different fields and that have different perspectives, right? Michelle and I clicked because we're both very strong-willed women and opinionated, and we sort of clashed, right? And you want someone that's going to push you to think differently and give you different perspective, and you want to be curious. And so, and a mentor doesn't always have to be older than you, right? You can have mentors that are your peers, or I learn so much every day from the people that I work with. I have a lot of old school tendencies, and there's a lot of people that are teaching me about what's happening in the world today. And so we share, and it's a very reciprocal relationship. And so I encourage you to really seek out those different people with different opinions, and they're in different walks of life, because they don't have to be in the same profession even, right? They can be in related industries or doing something completely different. I think right now where you are in your life, just be curious, ask a lot of questions. You don't know what you're going to love until you try it. And same thing, you don't know what's not going to fit. I didn't know that I wanted to go into PR. I didn't even know what it was. And then you sort of, I stumbled into it, and I found myself really passionate about it. And so ask questions, be curious, try, meet new people, make friends, like Matt said.
Well, can I just add one thing? The mentors don't have to be doing the same thing that you're doing. Back to what I was saying earlier, you can find a mentor. If you're an illustrator, you might want to find somebody who knows manufacturing, and just find out what their needs are, what their problems are, or if you're in logistics, or if you're design, or there's so many moving parts to the toy industry, and that's the best way to learn stuff. Now you've got somebody to call if you have an issue in designing. You could be like, oh, let me just call my buddy over in engineering and see if this is a problem, and it's easy. You're done.
I think that's a great point, because you just continue to build relationships across, which makes you stronger, better, and more powerful for the toy industry, right? The more that we know and can build together, the better off we are.
Love it. And I'm not distancing myself from you. My head was in the camera, so that's why I'm back here. I do want to, it's a perfect segue what you're talking about, because we were talking with students this morning. Their question was, there's so much to my story, so much of the things that I can do. How do I know, and how do I communicate that all at once coming in? The truth is, if it's all about you, the interviewee, right, then what value is that connection point to you, the employer? So could you talk to us a little bit? Again, we're going to go down the aisle. This time I'll start with Jocelyn. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you as an employer, what within PR right now is important? What skills, what value add are you looking for? And if we could go down the chain, we're looking for what that resume needs to really say to you in order to have an opportunity in PR.
Sure, and I think a resume it's obviously your entry point. And once you get in, right, so on your resume, you want to have all the things, the classes and understanding the tools and interest in the field that you're pursuing. But I think for me, an interview is two ways, right? I'm not just looking to interview you. You're interviewing me to see if my business is a place where you want to join my team. And so if you haven't taken time to do some research on who we are and what we do, and you can't articulate to me why you want to join my team and be part of what we're doing, then it's not a fit for you. You haven't taken the time to be thoughtful about this opportunity, and you're just sort of spraying and praying with your resume and your interviews. And I think take as many interviews as you can, right? Because they're all good practice, and it's like a muscle. You need to build it, you need to work on it, you need to think about how you're talking about yourself succinctly and powerfully, and you can articulate who you are and why someone should bring you in and invest in you. So I think as you're considering each job opportunity, it's not just what you want from it, it's what you bring to the table. What interests you about that position? What interests you about that company? Why do you see yourself there? What do you bring to the party? Why would it be fun? And so really be thoughtful, I think, about all of those questions before every opportunity, so that the employer knows that you have shown up with intention, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I'll just build on that. I think it's about, to your point, like researching the company. Your resume got you there, right? Like we already know all the things on your resume, so we're looking for the things that I can't find on your resume. What's your thought process? Are you curious? Do you understand trends? I'm not looking for you to be the best toy buyer ever because you probably haven't bought toys previously. I'm thinking more of what do you bring to the table that will support all of Walmart, not just my area. I love when I'm in an interview and someone tells me, well, I've walked your store, I've looked at your website, here are the things that I see you do well, here are the things that you guys really need to work on. I'm like, okay, you've done your homework, and I probably agree with you. And then next, it's bringing solutions. And it doesn't have to be the right answer, but it's about your thought process, that you've taken the time to understand what you are signing up for and how you can change and make things better.
Well, Design Edge is a design and development company, so the first thing I do with the resume is I throw it out. I don't look at it. I honestly don't. I look at your portfolio immediately, and then I talk to you, and I see if, like, honestly, this might not be the best advice. Are you cool? Like, do we get along? So just be yourself and try to be comfortable in the interview. You know, dress respectfully. I mean, I've had some people show up sometimes. I'm like, you know, what are you doing? Uh, but yeah, just be yourself. Just be like, you know, just be relaxed and make sure that you are open to learning. And you're all students. Like, no one's going to expect you to have this insane resume. We just want to know that we can work with you and you can learn and you can grow.
It's great answers all the way up here. And I agree with all of them. There's two additional, and I agree with Matt. I don't throw the resume away. I read the resume.
Thank you.
Right? I read the resume because here's the deal. Here's where Matt and I agree. I really want to get to know the person. I'm more on the personal side because I think Brittany was saying, your resume got you here to this point. Now I want to know you, right? So, and I think there's two things that I look at. I look at, number one, leadership. What demonstrated leadership do you have? How were you able to influence a group around you to do something, to move in a direction, right? And then the other thing is, how do you overcome challenges? Give me examples of what you've done that was a challenge, and here's how I worked through it. And, you know, the result is the result. I want to know how you got there. So those are things that I kind of look at in addition to the resume and stuff. And are you passionate? I think what we were talking about earlier, is this something you really want to do? Because if you don't, right, then find something you want to do. But if it is, then I'm interested. And why? So
It's really hard to go at the end.
Sorry, Kristen.
Always use Helvetica.
I'm just say yeah. You know, we can move. Kathleen, we'll go fast. I will say this. I think every time I meet with a student, and listen, I told you guys, I didn't get the internship, right? My resume wasn't strong enough. My interpersonal skills helped keep that door open. So I guess I'd say for me, when I'm looking, first of all, this year we're hiring interns again, and I'm like through the moon because this is where the energy comes from. When I'm meeting with new students, I actually feel like you can tell right away if they really want to work at your company or not. Like, and to what Josh said, like, you can tell if you're just sort of one of many and you're going and you're meeting with every company and you haven't thought about how to tailor your story for whoever it is that you're meeting with. I would say spend effort there. I also read the resume.
yeah.
But mine sucked. So I read the cover letter. And for my design folks out there, because my design team reports into me too, we look at the portfolio. So it's the stuff that you can't say in words all the time that better communicates who you are and why we want you on our team. And that's what Toys is all about. Remember, guys, like this is all about touching the consumer and inspiring play. And you got to figure out how each of you guys might help us bring more joy to the world.
Can I add just one other thing?
Sure.
When I am interviewing somebody, I'm not just looking at how malleable or like if I think they can grow or if I think they're going to have a lot of success. I'm also trying to figure out how they're going to handle failure. Because that could be a big problem if you got somebody who completely loses their stuff every time something goes wrong. I need to know that you can move on and you can learn and you can adapt, because this business is a fashion business. It moves very quickly. And what's cool today is not cool tomorrow. And your style and your taste has to be able to grow with that too, and you have to be able to handle that, and you have to be able to just watch the trends. And
I have one more thing to add, Kathy.
Okay.
And this is from a recent experience that I had. And so I'll share a cautionary tale. Please Google yourself. You are going to go on all these interviews. And so I'm the president of my company. And by the time I'm speaking to someone, they've made it through, several rounds of conversation if we're hiring an employee. But I also do a lot of informational interviews. And no matter who I'm talking to, I always Google them before I get on. It gives me a sense of who they are, their interests, and a little bit of reputation management. And I did an informational conversation recently. And when I Googled the woman, a lot of really inappropriate pictures came up that didn't put her in the best light. And she came to me through someone I knew, and so I knew that she was really smart and conscientious and hardworking, and she had a lot to offer any prospective employers. And so, of course, I still spoke with her, but I told her what I saw when I Googled her, and if I didn't know her, I would have not taken the interview because I would have felt like it was wasting my time. She didn't seem like a serious person. She didn't seem like she was even respecting herself on how she wanted to present herself to the world. And that's not what you want a future employer to see, because she's incredible. She just wasn't, the optics of her weren't right, and they were going to stop her from getting in the door somewhere. So I just really encourage you to think about how you're presenting yourself online. You guys live there all day long, and I think sometimes you're not even thinking about what you're putting out there and what's public and what's not, but we see it. So just be thoughtful about how you're curating your online image, because it matters.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. As you were speaking, I thought about brand and reputation matter. We talk a lot about what is your brand? What do you want your brand to be? So just remember, anything that's on the internet is there forever. And so how do you make sure you protect your brand and you show up the right way, so that when you are going into these interviews and because that's just part of the process now, right? Of like, I just need to make sure I know everything about this person that matters to make sure that the reputation is protected and we show up in the right way.
and don't look at my Instagram.
Okay, guys, I'm going to pivot. Let's talk a little bit about the industry today. What's inspiring, what's exciting, what's challenging right now in the toy industry that these guys need to be thinking about? Brittany, let's start with you.
I'll touch on trends. You talked a little bit about trends change every day. Something that's hot today, we may wake up tomorrow and it's not hot as we thought it was going to be. So one, I would say being resilient through those times of maybe my buyer just didn't buy a great item. That's okay. It happens. And so how do you pivot and move quickly? So I think the biggest thing that's probably impactful for us, there's other things for sure, but trends. And as quickly as this industry changes, how do you stay ahead of the trends and innovation?
I can do one. AI, I'm going to say is a it's the WWW of when I was coming out of college. The World Wide Web is now it's AI, and it's not going away. And there's a lot of in anything. I think it can help with productivity, but there's also a lot of questions that we have on how are we protecting people's work. Especially, I know must be a ton of you on here that are design students, and this is your work. And how are you protecting that work? And it is something we are really looking at as a major corporation, and I'm sure all of my colleagues here, on how do you embrace what the power of AI can bring for you, especially in a fast fashion business. Matt is 100% right that you got to be comfortable failing fast. And if you are spending all of your time building something and then it doesn't work, you've now lost all that time. How can AI help us get to a decision point faster, but not minimize the creative work and the ownership over that work? So I'd say this is just, it's something we're navigating, and having you all coming into this industry thinking about your perspective and how you can embrace this new technology for good is something that all of us in the industry are also wrestling with.
Great.
Right.
Well said. Dave, tell me a little bit about what's the most gratifying experience that you've had at Lego.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, it still goes back to the impact I can make on people. I think for me and for my team, it's I totally early on, I have this passion for working with folks and helping develop. And when I see folks become successful and move their career or move into a place that they want to go, that gives me a lot of satisfaction and gratification. I also think too, I mean, from a commercial standpoint, the business, I mean, we started when I first started a bunch of years ago, we were a relatively small brand here in the United States. We were building it across the market. And, you know, I did a presentation on this the other day. We were, in the US market, there wasn't even a building set category back in the day. It was kind of rest of toys, right? We were like 2% of the total toy business, but we've been fortunate enough over the years and we've grown the brand. We did it the right way and we're at a place right now. So thank you for the support for all of our retailers and all the consumers, all the folks that are out here that play with our products. Thank you. And we're in a place right now where, you know, we're significantly bigger than we were 40 years ago.
Lego's having a moment.
Lego's been having a moment for the past 10 years. Yeah. What is it, number 2 category in the industry? 2 or 3? Yeah. Phenomenal, right? What about you, Matt? Most gratifying experience?
Yeah. It's going to sound stupid, but every day is the most gratifying. We're in the toy industry. Like I often say to myself, if I won Lotto, how much money would I invest back into Design Edge? Like I'm not leaving. Like I'm already doing what I want to do. So that's the great part of this job. Just you wake up, you're like, oh, cool, work.
Right.
I have some friends who are just like, I can't wait to not go to work. You're like, you know, I'm like, no, I'm excited.
That's great. Yeah. Brittany, how about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds probably cheesy, but I agree with you. I think every day, I mean, we get to play with toys. How is that not fun and exciting? And I think the work that we do, it's important, right? If you think about Christmas and making sure every kid is able to have a toy under their tree. And so really being thoughtful of how we bring that to life and make sure that we can show up for the kids in those key moments, like that is what is gratifying for me, and fighting for the consumer every day.
So guys, I wouldn't be doing my job well as on the foundation if I didn't ask this. What's the role of philanthropy and how does doing good, which I love, how does that play in your work life, in your personal life, and how important is it? You guys are all wonderful mentors. I know you give back so much. You're giving today. So whether it be philanthropy in time or talent or treasure, let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'm big into that. So I head up the United Inventors Association's Toy Hub panel, board rather. So we just give free advice and education to inventors all the time, it's part of the United Inventors Association, which is the country's largest nonprofit inventor support group. I also go down to Washington and I meet with Congress, and I have a seat in the UN representing independent inventors in the United States. And that's all on my time and on my dime. But it's awesome. So
Matt, I got to plug you. How can they get involved? How can they join?
Well, the PR person's right over here. So
okay. So this is really important. This is networking 101 right now. Get the content.
Well, we have a booth somewhere.
Yeah, so there's you all can visit the Toy Hub booth. It's 3152. So it's on level 3, and there will be different inventors. So the Oscars of the toy industry are called the Toy of the Year. And so this year in the Hub booth, we are doing a Meet the Inventor series. And so you can meet the inventors in behind some of this year's most popular toys. And so there's also a lot of literature there that you can pick up and understand what the Hub does, who they serve, how you get involved. So definitely stop by.
Yeah, and follow the people. I think LinkedIn is very important too. So follow the people that are in the Hub because they're always posting good information and they could be good mentors for you. You know, and they're willing to help. That's why they're on the board.
So philanthropy, any other thoughts?
I'll just say I think it's important to not give back to the industry, but also to the community. And so one of the things we do at the agency, we're based in Hoboken, New Jersey. And so we work with a lot of local organizations, whether it's the homeless shelter or the Boys and Girls Club. And we do everything from make lunch at the holidays to do toy donations when we have products left over from client initiatives. Because, you know, philanthropy is important at all scales, right? So we want to give to those kids that we see on the sidewalks and in, where we live and work and play. But then also I think the industry does a wonderful job of bringing us all together, the whole toy community, to give back through the Toy Foundation. Kathleen, do a great job at your position there. Congrats to your newly elected. And so just making sure that, I've gotten personally so much from this industry. I grew up in this industry and it's given me so much, so I want to give back. And that's from toy donation, services, and then also meeting with all of you, right? And helping you guys decide what's your path, what interests you, what excites you, what are you good at? And so I think it happens on all levels and it's important.
Yeah, I'll add, I think it is extremely important. I will tell you, one of the reasons that I've stayed with Walmart for this long is because of the way that we show up in the community, because it's important. We are in communities every day, and so getting out and being front and center for those communities when disasters happen or just everyday life. And so that is part of my story of I was started with the company, and the way we showed up in communities is the reason why I've stayed with the company. So it's extremely important.
Yeah, I think what you'll find as you guys meet with toy companies is it's not just literature on the website. It is actually part of the embodiment of the culture. At Hasbro, we have a Day of Joy in December where the entire company donates our time and efforts around the world. So it's a 24-hour Day of Joy. It starts in Asia before we're even awake here in New York. And every month we asked employees to donate 4 hours of their time. So a great question, if you're ever talking to a Hasbro employee, is, "Hey, how'd you donate your time this month?" And you'll get you won't get some generic response. You'll get a real answer because it's part of the culture. And I think you will find that in the toy industry. It's not just about what we're making, but it's also how we're giving back, and that is something we really stand for. And yeah, Kathleen with the Toy Foundation, which now I'm joining Kathleen on as well. This is an industry-wide initiative. The work we are doing is bringing play and joy to all communities, not just those that can afford to buy our stuff because we want them to buy our stuff, but those that can't as well. And how are we servicing that community as well? It's very important.
Beautiful. Great. So guys, we're getting ready for your questions. I'm going to run around, so get them ready, but I'm going to ask the panel one final question. And this one is a little tricky because it's hard to distill it down, but what singular piece of advice can you leave for our students so that they left here and we'll tell them, get your pens ready, write these singular pieces of advice down. These are some of the brightest minds, the biggest hearts in the industry right here. You're hearing from them first. I'm going to start with you, Dave. Yeah?
Yeah, that's a great question. My advice would be, and I think back around when I started and also in the role that I'm in now, and I watch younger people come into our organization, start to build their career, my input would be, first off, find a company that is an environment of, promotes an environment of learning, right? Learning and development. And then take the opportunity when you join a company, right, to get to know the company, but learn and be patient. I guess that would be patient in your role and learn the basic foundations of that particular business. And I'll tell you why. So 40 plus years later, I still rely on things I learned in my early part of my career to do my job. Look, you'll see people around you, they'll be moving quick and all that stuff. Be patient, learn, take advantage of the opportunity that you have, because it's going to be a great opportunity. You will draw from those learnings for your entire career. That's what I would recommend.
Great advice. Matt?
Well, I'm fortunate that we work with hundreds of toy companies around the world. And the one observation that I have that I think is really important to all you is you have to think of the entire industry as if it's a high school, and every toy company is its own clique. And you have to find your clique. One toy company might not be the right fit for you, but there's another toy company out there that might be the perfect fit for you. So don't think it's one size fits all. And when you're doing your interviews, you might want to pay attention to the culture of that company too, and if it's right for you. Because you might be better off at a specialty toy company where you can, do simpler things or have more free range, or you might be best in a big corporate company where you're literally focused on one product line for 5 years. So just realize it's an entire ecosystem that's not all one.
Great advice. Brittany?
Yeah, I would say curiosity. Always be curious. Be a student and study for whatever you do. Don't get comfortable. Things change so fast, whether you're in the toy industry or whatever industry you're in. Be curious, be a student, continue studying, continue learning. So when you graduate, you'll still be learning and studying. And I would just say, stay curious.
Excellent.
Brittany sort of stole mine, but I'll say be curious and say yes. Right?
Okay.
You're at the beginning of your career. I'm excited for all of you. There's so much that you don't know. And so you don't know if you're going to like something or be good at something or hate something. And so say yes to new opportunity and then learn from each of those opportunities. Be patient, like Dave said, soak it in, and then use that opportunity for what's next. But don't forget the people that you met. So leverage your network. And so as you move from moment to moment, you're building something, and it'll turn into a career.
Perfect. Kristen.
Yeah, bringing up the rear. Joss is right, because you guys, before we got up on stage, we were all huddling over here and realizing how much we all were working with each other earlier on in our careers. So that piece on the network really is important. The last one I'll say to you, I got this advice from a professor, was really know your values and then look for a company that matches those values, right? The interview process is as much about you trying to get a job as it is about you trying to find a home, I'm going to call it, because when you graduate, you think about, you have 45 years ahead of you that you're going to work. You want to find a company that you align to your values and their values together, because you're going to want to bring your full authentic self to work. And if you're working somewhere that doesn't align, it's really hard to do that. And it's really hard to do it, especially as a creative. And you know, when you're in this business, all of us are really creatives. Even if we started marketing like I did or sales like Dave, we're creative. You got to align your values. Take that time to make this a journey for yourself as much as it is for the employer trying to find their next employee.
I love that. And I want to just add just one thing, because we have a unique panel up here in that most of them have spent their formative career moments at the same company. I will just share something personal for me. 25 years in manufacturing, and then pivot 10 years in retail, and then pivot 5 years in media and advertising. So yes, it's wonderful to have 42 years at Lego. I envy Dave, but it was okay too to have a lot of different experiences as well. And so I love the share your values and find your people, find your tribe, but that could change over time. Your people change, you're gonna change. So yes, you wanna dive in and do it, but when it no longer suits you, go elsewhere. Find your next home, right? So beautiful answers. I will tell you, who's got the first question? Look at this. I got to go with convenience, and I'm coming, I promise. Go.
I'm Aiden Spires. I'm an accounting major from Cookeville, Tennessee, and go to Tennessee Tech University. But with all of us growing in our careers and just starting out, how did you all handle setbacks and challenges you faced while starting your careers?
Poorly.
I was going to say learn from it and move on. Don't hold on to it. Just don't. Everyone's going to make mistakes. And I think where you are in your career, the people around you are not going to you're not going to make a big enough mistake that's going to burn the company to the ground. So don't be afraid of it. Just keep learning, understand what you did wrong, and then leave it and move on.
He's in accounting. Just pointing that out.
Make a paper trail.
Yeah, I would just add, it's okay, right? But seek out someone that you can get guidance from and help and learn from it. That's the thing, you know, as long as you're moving forward, fail forward, right? And it's going to happen, right? It's part of the deal.
We could probably do a whole panel up here where we
Yeah.
shared all of our failures.
Today.
It is part.
Today.
Yeah,
Like a bloopers reel.
It is part of the journey.
It is.
Getting home at 2:30 last night.
There you go.
And you're
Okay.
Oh, there's the number.
Okay, that might have been an overshare. Thanks, Matt. Go ahead, Jackie's got a question on the other side.
I'm Danny from FIT Toy Design Program. I'd like to know, since a lot of you have been in the industry for a while, what's the biggest change you've seen happen during your tenure at the industry?
The biggest thing I've seen is that there used to just be several news channels that would handle promotion, and we'd have items every year that were the go-to item that people were fighting in the stores to get. The industry is now much more segmented, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But the days of the tickle me Elmo, where parents are punching each other, is over.
Okay, we have a question here.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Meredith, and I'm an industrial design student at ASU. And I'm just wondering, what is like a hobby or a lifestyle just element that you've adopted that helps you remain a lifelong learner and just kind of stay moving?
Drawing.
Drawing. Beautiful. Any other answers?
Mine is very random, guys, but I have pivoted a second career into being a kickboxing instructor, and I actually find that kicking the crap out of a bag is a wonderful way to work out your stress. There you go.
I'll add a couple of things. One, I have a 13-year-old, and so she keeps me up to date on all the latest trends, latest things. She's very opinionated, but very helpful. And then second, I just like to play softball. Sometimes I just need to hit something just to be like,
Yes,
I need to
Brittany.
debrief, similar to your kickboxing. So I would say, like, it's not always just like studying, learning, but what's the other thing that you need to just decompress? Because days can be long sometimes. And so find what that is for you.
Thank you so much for your talk so far. My name is Maddie. I'm from RISD Illustration. And I understand the importance of like building a network of like-minded people with your same interests, but how would you recommend reaching out to people from like different parts of the industry and have different skill sets than you? How would you recommend connecting with them?
There are industry events, such as this, right? But Toy Fair, for instance. But there are networking parties, there are groups, there's People of Play, which is a great resource for you, and, which is now part of the Toy Association. So look up People of Play and join and network.
I'll give a specific one too, just being based in Rhode Island. RISD, I mean, we have a connection with you guys anyway. If you make your connection in with, say, design or engineering folks within Hasbro, but are interested in sort of other areas of Hasbro, they'll connect to other, they'll help you connect to other places within the company. So I'd say, team, think about ways that like companies are actually wide. I think Brittany, you had mentioned this, like companies are looking for employees across every single sector of their business. So you might have a connection in maybe specifically to design, but if you want to learn other elements of the business, tell the person you're talking to that and leverage their network to help you find a way through. So.
LinkedIn is a powerful tool.
Yes.
You would be surprised, like the responses that you received from an email or inbox message, like that's an easy connection, and trying to just reach out to people. That is how I've connected with a lot of people in the toy industry, is just through a LinkedIn message of, hey, I see you know about this, I'm interested in that, can we get together? And it doesn't have to be an hour-long meeting. It could be just a quick 5-minute connection and then build a relationship from there.
Okay, guys, forgive me. We have time for one more question, so I'm going to take it here. And I know that disappoints people, but hopefully you've got enough information and you now know that it's very brave to network and reach out, and you will do that and get your questions answered. Go ahead, final one.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rinmay. I'm a data science senior from NJIT. And first of all, Kristen, I love that you love kickboxing, because as a senior, I've reached a point where I'm taking taekwondo classes. So, I relate. But since you guys look at so many resumes on a daily basis, I have a very techie resume. And based on that, how do I make my resume stand out?
Great question.
I'll say you may need to tailor your resume based on what specific job you're applying for. I mean, again, this is in the Wayback Machine 15 years ago, but I couldn't use my same resume when I applied to Hasbro as I would have used if I was going to go elsewhere. I had to really change the specific accomplishments that I had, and change the nature of the tone to be more marketing. I was applying for a marketing job. And so it's whatever role you're trying to apply for, think about how you can take those accomplishments and deliver them in a way that helps your employer know why you would add value to their team. And not just list off bullet points of tech accomplishments. They may not know what those mean. So you may need to kind of connect those dots for them.
Yeah, I would agree with that, to tailor it. The other thing, think about results, right? Regardless of what area you're in, if you are driving results, I think that's probably what most companies are looking for. And so how do you frame it up in a way of, this was the result of whatever I did, to show that you can drive results?
I want to point out what you just said earlier, though, about LinkedIn. Not enough students reach out to me on LinkedIn. And the handful that have, I have taken interviews from. And it's a very easy way to be
think
like,
that's
hey,
an
I'm interested in your
invitation.
company. Yeah. It's an invitation. Be like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. It's, can I talk to you? I always take the call.
Okay, panelists, on behalf of every student here, I just want to thank you for your time this morning. Your expression was wonderful, right, guys? Give them a big round of applause. Really, thank you. Okay.